Welcome back to pregame.tv. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined by my partner in crime, Ken Thomson, SportsX Radio, and congratulations, too. I want to tell you, yesterday was your first day, new market. You guys are going to Arizona now, Phoenix?
Phoenix, AM 1100 KFNX.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Congrats on that. And we're going to take a look at St. Louis and Cincinnati. And I tell you what, I hope these two beat the snot out of one another. and the Pirates just take care of business at home against Colorado. That would be a nice weekend if that happens for me. But this is your free pick. What are you looking at here to start it off?
Well, here's the thing. Your boys just take 4 out of 5 from St. Louis, a team that was already reeling, couldn't score any runs the weekend before in Atlanta. They lose Yadier Molina, key piece, guy hitting .330. Defensively, huge. I mean, not that Cruz is bad, but teams are going to run on him. Not that Cincinnati has a lot of base runners. Have a couple guys Chu can steal. Just the chemistry there for St. Louis. They've struggled. They've shown that they're vulnerable. We didn't see that early in the year. They look like a team that was never going to lose more than 2 in a row. All of a sudden, they are struggling, even with those high-rated pitchers. I mean, even Wainwright's lost his last 2. So you just never know. And I know Pittsburgh taking care of business, 4 out of the 5. Now, yesterday's game was a statement game as far as if Pittsburgh could have won that game, Marco, and I know you went the other way. You went on St. Louis because you thought the Pittsburgh spent their bullpen the night before. But if Pittsburgh wins that game, grabs a 3.5 game lead. I mean, that would have been huge. Would have been the first time they swept St. Louis since 1908, a 5-game series. Absolutely.
And the Pirates, no question, everybody, as soon as the All-Star, and I was in Pittsburgh at the time, and even the Pittsburgh writers, there's oh boy, here we go again, because they lost the first 2 games after the All-Star break, but they were playing Cincinnati. Cincinnati's always been the Pirates' nemesis, them in Milwaukee, and finally Pittsburgh got that, monkey off their back against Milwaukee this year. But I look at this series, and everybody's talking about this slump that St. Louis is in, and one of the things is St. Louis does have trouble against left-handers. They've had trouble against them all season long. When facing lefties, they got a losing record. But this recent slump, they've also played some of the best teams in baseball during this slump too. And so everybody's saying, oh, okay, well, they beat up on, the bad teams, and now they're, playing the good teams, and they're not performing well. You can't argue that fact. I think the injury, you lose a catcher, like him. A lot of people overlook that position. To me, the catcher on a team, he's the guy that's taking care of your pitchers. And if you got a young, not that St. Louis has a young pitching staff, but they do have, Shelby Miller
and Kelly. And Kelly pitched a gem yesterday, but yeah, they do have some young pitchers.
You want that consistency back there and, guide those guys through the games. And that's a big loss for them. So, it's good. We're going to see how this is going to play out long term. For St. Louis, they get back on track. But this is a big series because all of a sudden, St. Louis went to Pittsburgh as the top team in baseball. Now they're coming out of there behind Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati's nipping on their heels as well for the wild card. And I'd love nothing better to see these two teams end up in that one game wild card and knock one of them out at the end, because I think all 3 of these teams will be there at the end of the season. Whoever's going to be the division winner, I think second place and third place are going to be your wild cards.
I agree 100%. There is no doubt.
You know what? This is your free pick. I think we should make it official.
I've been waiting for you to say that, Marco. And I think it will be a 3-team race for the top position. Remember, the second and third place team, they don't want to get into a 1-game wild card playoff when you're going to finish 20-plus games over 500. Good chance that all 3 of these teams could be right around there at the end of the year. Now, they play a lot of games against each other. Cincinnati and St. Louis, they'll play 10 times between now and September the 5th. So that's important. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh does not play Cincinnati until the end of the year. They have 7 games in the last 2 weeks of the season. They actually close a 4-game series with each other. So looking forward to that. But I think this is the biggest series of the year for the Cincinnati Reds. We know they're tough at home. 14 games over 500, 32 up, 18 down at the Great American Ballpark. I think they take care of business. Now, we tape before Friday's game. That's a good matchup with Shelby Miller and Arroyo. We'll see how that one pans out. This game on Saturday, Westbrook and Cingrani. Cingrani, a hard luck pitcher in his last game, a 1-hitter, struck out 11 against the Dodgers, didn't get any run support. They end up losing that game in extra innings, 1-0. That's that's a heartbreak. Meanwhile, Westbrook, he's struggled. He's 3-3 in his last 6, but he's 0-3 on the road. 10 strikeouts, 12 walks. That is not Westbrook-like numbers. But again, like I said, he's struggled on the road. Also, 13 earned runs in his last 16 innings of pitching there for St. Louis. Meanwhile, like I said, Cingrani, I like the way he's throwing. He's got 33 strikeouts, 13 base on balls in his last 30 and a third, and he's only given up 7 earned runs in those 30 and a third innings. So I'm looking for Cincinnati to take care of business. We know they struggle on the road, especially out west. Couldn't score any runs against the Dodgers or the Padres, but they're starting to get things together. They got the getaway game against San Diego. They're back home in what I think is a huge series. I think if they win Friday night, they've got an outstanding chance to sweep this series and really make it a 3-team race. Again, Pittsburgh has a chance, like Marco said, playing Colorado, chance to increase that lead there in the NL Central. We'll see how that goes. But look for Votto, Bruce, Phillips, Cozart, Xavier Paul even to step up. These guys hit much better at that Great American Ballpark than they do on the road. And I think you'll see some runs being scored. And then St. Louis, outside of the 13-0 whitewash of Pittsburgh yesterday, only one time in their last 7 games prior to that did they score more than 2 runs. So that's my play, pregame.tv. Take the Cincinnati Reds. Take Cingrani. He's going to take care of business. You're going to see this be a real tight 3-team race down the stretch. I like the Reds on pregame.tv.
All right, there you have it. Ken says to take Cincinnati on Saturday. We're going to come right back. Ken's going to do it again. He's going to the same series. We're going to have another one on Cincinnati, St. Louis up next, pregame.tv.